Hi guys, welcome. Just waiting for Nina. How's everybody doing today? Did you guys have a good Earth Day yesterday? Welcome. Hi Veronique, welcome. Jess is here. Hi. It's fun to see everybody. Just waiting on Nina, and we will get started in a minute. So Nina's one of my friends from a long time ago, and she's got a ton of knowledge. I'm so excited to have her. It's going to be amazing. Let's see where Nina is. Hey, Amara. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Just waiting for Nina to come on board. We will start in a few minutes. Thanks for being patient. Oh, here's Nina. There she is. There she is. Hi,
Hey,
Nina.
how's it going?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good, thanks.
Welcome. Thank you so much for
Hello.
joining us.
Thanks for having me. Let me just settle in. Okay.
Yeah, settle in, be comfortable.
Good.
I see you're home today, not
Yeah,
not at the hospital or office or anything. You guys are hopefully safe and doing okay there.
thanks. Yeah, we're hanging in there. We go in a little bit for emergencies and hopefully mostly doing a lot of telemedicine, trying to keep safe.
Well, that's good. Nina, it's such an honor to have you with us today. You and I have known each other for quite some time
That's
now.
right.
It's been a journey of kids and different things, and then we ended up kind of connecting on water bottles. And so I'm
That's
so
right.
excited to get into that. But I want to give everybody a chance to kind of get to know us. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sheila Morovati. I'm the founder of Habits of Waste. And I'd love it if you, Nina, could just introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are. And I'll be definitely talking about all your accomplishments, but share your, you know, introduce.
Sure. So I'm Nina Shapiro. Thanks so much again, Sheila, for having me. We've been in touch so much, unfortunately, mostly virtually over the last several weeks.
Yeah.
And I am a pediatric ear, nose, and throat surgeon at UCLA. I've been there for about 23 years. I have two kids, which is, of course, how we first met.
Yeah.
School. And I am really an advocate for bashing anything that is a medical myth. I wrote a book called Hype, which is really my passion about whenever we have new information regarding our health, how to really decipher and digest all of the information that's coming at us. And obviously one of the things that, we've talked about and connected about is water, which is such a
Yes.
major source of importance and of hype in our world. So, I continue to do that in, whatever new information is coming at us now. It's all, it's all COVID all the time.
Sure.
How do we just decipher all of that information? But water is so important. It's, such a major part of our planet, and this is Earth Week, and
Yes.
it's really important to keep it clean and healthy. So I'm happy
Absolutely.
with that.
Well, we'll definitely dig into water. I just wanted to touch base a little bit about all this amazing. I just want everyone to know what an opportunity this is to have you here and for us to have 30 minutes of your time. Basically, Nina, you're always on the doctors. You are just a wealth of knowledge. Everyone in the world looks to you for, I don't even know if I can pronounce this, pediatric otolaryngology. How do you say this?
Otolaryngology, ear, nose, and
There
throat.
you go.
Thank you.
So you are like a leader in all of that. And your posts on Facebook have kind of kept many of us sane throughout these past few weeks. And you kind of whittle it down to the facts and what we really need to know, and the, you know, the craziness about the anxiety that's produced right now. And I know that you are conservative in many fronts. You know, like you just made a post about people stop playing tennis out there, and it was like eye-opening to see like how many of us are sort of thinking that we can just get away with whatever at this point, and you kind of bring us back down to earth. And I think, you know, we appreciate that so much. I also want to let everyone listening and looking know that you can jump in and ask questions. I will definitely make sure that we get Nina's time to answer your questions too. But what I just wanted to talk first about is your book Hype. That book is it's amazing because there's so many things that we are just bombarded with as a society, as a consumer, clinically proven, this, that, you know, you need to do this now and that now for your health, for your, so what happened that you're like, enough already, I'm going to start writing a book on this?
So it was a long time coming. It was years of thinking about it and hearing conversations. A lot of it was coming from friends and family and people at work who asked really good questions. And they were general health questions about themselves, about their families, about their kids. And a lot of them I didn't know the answers to, but a lot of them I thought were kind of coming from left field and really out there. And I thought that people were really missing the boat on what was healthy for them. So these were people who were really, really passionate about their health and their family's health, but they were doing some absolutely dangerous, crazy things for themselves and for their kids. And I felt that if one or two or 10 families were asking me this, then there are thousands of people who are confused, including ourselves, including doctors. And, how do we really understand not just what we hear and what the basic stuff is, but how do we determine when we hear new things, new medications coming out, new, miracle cures, new diets, new exercises. It's overwhelming, and we have so much
Yes.
social media now. So how do you know when you're seeing something? Is it the real thing? Is it fake? Is it just too early to determine? And so I just try to give people the tools to navigate this overwhelming amount of information that we're getting.
What was there something that really just triggered you, that said, okay, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, or was it all of this that you just described?
There was. So I'll just briefly, there was a little child who came in and they had choked on a nut. And it was a toddler, so about 15-month-old, someone who's barely walking. And the family was giving their tiny little kids nuts, and the child choked on the nut, almost died. And the family was doing this because they were vegan. They didn't want to give the child anything unhealthy. Everything was organic. They were giving it to not only their 15-month-old, but also their 3-year-old.
Wow.
And they were not vaccinating their children because they didn't want to put any impurities into their precious children's bodies. But meanwhile, their child almost died, a healthy 15-month-old. And it was really that day that I said, that's it. We need to straighten this out, because these
Right.
are wonderful people who were trying to do the best for their kids. They were not trying to hurt their children, but they were doing something dangerous, and they were doing what they thought was a healthy thing. So that made me think, well, if people are doing things that they think are healthy and they're actually potentially deadly, this information needs to get out there.
Well, thank you for writing the book that you did, because it does answer a lot of questions, and it brings us basically to the conversation I really wanted to have, which is about the water. Um, Honestly, I started to, do my work with the plastic straw ban in Malibu, and a lot of people just kept saying, great work, Sheila. That's awesome that you got the plastic straws, but now what about the water bottles? And I kept thinking to myself, well, what about the water bottles? I don't really know what we're supposed to do with that. It's not like they're getting recycled. People need water. I can't go out telling people stop drinking water. So I wanted to study, where did this problem begin, and how did we get to this point that we're at now, where we're throwing away 1 million water bottles per minute, or plastic bottles per minute, with only 9% getting recycled, and some say it's really 3%. And so I did a little digging, and I started to find out that in the 1980s, they brought the plastic water bottle on the catwalk in New York Fashion Week. And all of a sudden, you had these Evian bottles being carried out, by the models, and it's just this gorgeous looking model carrying this water bottle, and before you know it, the water bottle companies with their millions of dollars for marketing are telling everyone that their water is superior to the tap water. And a friend of mine recently said, she said, I couldn't believe the day that people were purchasing water in plastic, and I said, these people are nuts, this will never stick. And of course, cut to, you know, my there you go. I love the panda. My recent trip to Whole Foods, and I'm like, this is Whole Foods, like our health food store. And I took
Right.
5 pictures in order to get all the different types of plastic water bottles that were available to us in one scene.
Right.
So I think now that I'm going out and telling everybody, guys, I've done the research. The cities are telling you, many cities are telling you that the water is clean. They just can't seem to communicate any better than this.
Right.
And each time we go out there saying, drink filtered tap, we drink tap, I drink tap, anything, there's so much resistance. And I just wondered if you could, with all your background, science, everything in your knowledge, what can you tell us about drinking tap water or filtered tap water versus plastic water bottles?
Okay.
Please
So
clarify.
sure. So it's a brilliant marketing term. I didn't know about the models, and we'll have to dispute that with holding these metal bottles or these
Yes,
bottles for the next catwalk. So we can have scientists do the catwalk, and you.
exactly. Good
Right.
looking scientists. That's what we need next.
So I think it's pure marketing. So first of all, a lot of bottled water is tap water in
Yep.
fancy packaging,
Yep.
expensive, useless packaging. So that's number one. It's not necessarily natural means nothing. So if you see that label on something, natural is not a real term. It's not a scientific term. It's not a nutritional
That
term.
should be a hashtag. Hashtag natural means nothing.
Natural, there we go. We'll start that trend. It's going to be trending before you know it. So that's one thing. So most of the bottled water that you're buying is tap water, not even necessarily as clean and pure and as filtered as the tap water that you're getting from your actual sink. That's one thing. Another thing, as you said, plastic is getting into this water. So it's even less healthy because we as scientists know that the plastic itself can leach into
Leeches.
the water. And we talk about chemicals, which is also sort of a made up term because most chemicals are good and safe and healthy, but these potentially bad chemicals are getting into your water from your water bottle. So that's bad. The plastic itself, as you said, most of it. So you say 6% or 3% is recycled. So that means 90+% is not recycled. There are
Yeah.
billions of gallons and billions of water bottles that are thrown. And I think you mentioned somewhere that there's like an island, size of an
Yeah.
island
The
of
great
plastic
big garbage
out.
patch.
Yeah. So it's a major problem. There is nothing better in it. So then we talk about, well, what about the waters with all this other great stuff in it? Vitamins in it, there's vitamin
Electrolytes. We got
water,
everything.
extra hydrogen, extra oxygen, alkaline water. It is all complete nonsense. So it does not detox you. It does not hydrate you better. It does not give you anything that you cannot get from regular water and regular food that you're eating. So the nonsense about getting supplemented from water is ridiculous. The nonsense about being detoxed from water is ridiculous. You have an internal detox center. It's called your stomach, your gastrointestinal system, your kidneys, your sweat glands. These are all active detox centers, and they're free and they're safe and they work the best for you. So the notion of changing your pH or changing your internal organs, it doesn't work that way. And that was, again, one of my inspirations for talking about this and writing about this continually, is that there's no logic to, not that there's only no logic to this, there's no science to it, there's no physiology to any of this. Yes, there have been several small studies, very small studies, meaning a handful of subjects saying, okay, they had maybe less reflux, less acid in their, coming up from their stomach if they're drinking certain water. This is a handful of people. There's no evidence that there's any long-term data about any of this, that it's more hydrating, that you'll have better athletic performance. There is no evidence. And you ask any real athlete, any high-powered athlete, they know that regular water is just as good. And then if you're going to drink any of the other sweetened waters, you know that's bad for you too. You don't need to be a scientist to know that.
Right. And
Absolutely a waste.
one person just commented, my friend Jess, she was saying that also they're leading us to believe that we need to have water all the time.
Right.
in the bottle to take with us constantly. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how much water do we really need? Is it a necessary thing to constantly have a bottle with us at all times?
Right. So we're infants that we need to be drinking all the time. So no. So the 8 glasses per day, that was sort of the going word back, I think, from World War II. There was a notion that you have to drink 8 glasses of water per day. One person wrote something about that, and that all of a sudden became, sort of biblical, that that's what we have to drink. And then the idea of you have to always stay hydrated. And another, I just want to point out one other piece of hype is that some people have claimed that if you drink hot water every 20 minutes, you will kill the coronavirus.
Yes. Yes, I've heard this
I got a
one.
laugh from the peanut gallery over there. So that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I wish it were. I drink hot water a lot, but it's not going to kill the coronavirus in the back of your throat. Doesn't work that way. And even washing your mouth out with soap is not going to do it either. But people are literally talking about this as another level of water. So you need to drink water frequently. It is really, in my opinion, there are only 2 drinks that you should have: water and milk. And we can argue about milk, but that's a whole other issue, and dairy. Yes. But those are the only drinks. Juices, there's no benefit to drinking any juice at all. There's no benefit to drinking any supplemented water. So plain water and milk, those are the only beverages that anybody should be consuming, except for, of course, a glass of wine.
Yes.
Right? That counts. So,
totally.
And coffee and wine. So you need to drink and to satiate your thirst. You can tell if you're hydrated by checking your pee. So if you're dehydrated, your pee will be very dark, your urine will be very dark. If you're overhydrated, your urine will be very clear. And if it's sort of that normal, like clear yellowish stuff, then you're right on. And that's how people know. And people know their own bodies. It's not, you don't need to time when you drink water. It's good to drink water. Drink when you're thirsty. If you're an athlete and you're exercising, you don't want to wait until you've reached that level of thirst, because then you can become nauseated and have other issues with dehydrating. But those are really, significant athletic activities that you'll be doing.
And someone's asking if you can drink too much. Is it possible to overdo it?
So there is something called water intoxication. It doesn't make you drunk. It makes you very sick. So you do have electrolyte balance in your body. Most people, their kidneys will make up for it if you drink too much water. But some people who have, certainly elderly people or anybody with any sort of kidney problems, if you drink too much water, you will literally dilute your blood, and you can have something called hyponatremia, and you become very, very sick and dehydrated, and you can even go into a coma. It is extremely rare for that to happen, but certainly there have been some marathon runners who drink too much plain water and don't get enough electrolytes. But again, this is extreme athletics that we're talking about. They do need to balance some electrolytes because they're working their body so much harder than normal. But for regular exercise, drinking plain water is fine.
Right. Well, one of the things that one of the reasons I was so fascinated by Drink Tap and launching this program or this campaign was, my relatives that live in Italy, one of them, my uncle, used to say, I don't understand it. Whenever the American tourists come to Florence, they all carry a bottle of water around. Is it because you guys are more thirsty? What is the deal with that? And I remember he would go into they always have these little cafes all the time. And you go up to the coffee bar and you order your coffee and usually a glass of water, and you take both quickly and you move on. So this kind of convenience / to-go mentality that many of us have in the US, I think that's one of the issues that it's making it even harder to fight against the plastic water bottle crisis here, because it's really hard to have access when you're on the field playing or when you're out for a minute and you forget you're reusable. There are really cool applications I'll share with everybody here. One of them is called the Tap app. So you just take your water bottle, your reusable, and you can go into the Tap app and find places, restaurants that will refill your water bottle for you for free. And there's no feeling awkward. And that's what the purpose of the app is, so that you can go in and feel comfortable to request your water bottle to be refilled. And I think that that's such a wonderful resource, and that's the sociology of what we do. It's like sometimes people feel bad, and so they're like, I'd rather go buy $1 water bottle, I'm thirsty, but if you can just use applications and resources like TAP to go into restaurants and things like that. So I really feel strongly that we are up against a big uphill climb, but once again, having information and knowing that our tap water is safe to drink, there is, like you said, science behind it, then we can take the right necessary steps to do better.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know about that. Tap app. I'm going to check it out. And then
The tap.
once we get past coronavirus, we can actually use water fountains. That's amazing.
Yes, and that brings me to another thing. I really want to know your thoughts on accessibility. Like water, based on our experience these past year or two that we've been working on this, it is a real social justice issue. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that. And just accessibility is such a huge concern
Yeah.
to us and everyone. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think, a lot of people are concerned that their water supply is not safe. Even if they do have access, on some level to water, that, if they don't have water in their home, if they go to a public place, that the tap supply is not safe. And that is actually more tightly regulated than people think. You can, and if you have access at your home and you're concerned that your water supply is bad, you can go, it's called the annual water report that has to be released to you. It's also called the consumer confidence report that can be released that will grade your particular tap water, because a lot of people say the tap water in my city is not safe. We know about Flint, Michigan. That's nothing new. We know about a lot of parts of the world outside of the states where the tap supplies are very unsafe. So, certainly within this country, we do have access to assess the safety of our tap water.
And isn't the tap water more strictly regulated than plastic water bottles?
Absolutely. I mean, plastic water bottles, again, the packaging is all that there is. And as far as what's in them, content-wise, that I agree. Yeah, it's not as tightly regulated as the tap water that's provided by a city.
We learned that the EPA regulates the tap water in this country while the FDA regulates the plastic water bottles. Could you tell us a little bit about the differences between these organizations and what each one, really has a power over?
Well, I think as we can see that the FDA is the Food and Drug Administration, so they're going to be focused on nutritional content and the food quality of it, but not necessarily as much as the safety, which is, EPA is Environmental Protection Agency. As we can imagine, this is protecting what's going on in our whole world in the environment, and they're going to be much more concerned about what goes out to swaths of populations as opposed to what somebody is buying in the store.
And people are losing faith in the EPA, as someone just commented too. So that doesn't help us either.
Yeah.
But hopefully the tap water regulations haven't decreased and become horrible. But I'm personally a tap water drinker and have been. Here's a comment, says EPA, are there still as stringent regulations as in previous administrations? I mean, it's a tough one. I can't say for sure, but I'm hoping that the tap water itself hasn't changed because of the EPA changes that have happened. Once again, as Nina said, and on our website habitsofwaste.org, we have all the tools you need to check your water and to connect with your city officials and your water report in your neighborhood. So you just enter your zip code and all of that information is there for you. So habitsofwaste.org, drink tap. So let's talk a little bit more about COVID. I really love the conversation you and I had online on email about masks and the PPE waste and all these different things. Obviously, we need some plastics to be in existence. We need, clean PPE materials, all of that. Could you talk a little bit about what you see and if there's any resolution, and also the masks that you talked about and what's okay to use as far as the reusables and cloths and how we have to make sure that they stay clean as well?
Right. So masks are now required in Los Angeles if you want to be in a public place. So the LA Department of Health is saying that you need to wear some sort of face covering, which includes your nose and your mouth, not your eyes, while you are out in a public place. It does not mean we're actually walking down the street. They specify that if you're just walking in your neighborhood and you're not near another person who's not in your home, you actually do not need to wear a mask by the LA guidelines.
Okay. That's good to know.
You need to cover your face if you're going to be in a public place at all. What do you wear? So first of all, you know, it's become a whole fashion thing. So forget about the Evian bottle. Now it's going to be the models wearing the face masks.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's actually good. And a lot of people have made their own masks and sewing masks and using t-shirts and other materials. Just so people know, these cloth masks are not really going to protect you from COVID, and they're not really going to protect somebody else from COVID. They're not N95 quality, but they will protect a little bit of your secretions and will protect somebody from you and protect you from somebody to some degree. They're really being used as a social message that this means business. We're serious about this. And I, as a social person with civic responsibilities, recognize the importance of it. And not only am I going to wear my mask in public, but I'm going to keep at least 6 feet of distance between one person and the next. So a lot of people's concerns, a lot of people in healthcare, our concerns about the mask is that people will say, hey, I'm wearing a mask. I'm going to go walk with my friend. And when you have a mask on, you can't really see each other's lips move. You can't hear each other as well. We don't realize how many visual cues we use when we communicate.
Yeah, it's true.
That 6 feet is going to become 4 feet, is going to become 3 feet. Before you know it, 2 people with masks are going to be walking right next to each other. While we're walking, let's go get some coffee. So there goes there defeats the whole purpose of social distancing.
Yes.
So that's a big concern about the masks.
And you said we have to wash them every time we use them.
Yes. So if you're going to be wearing a mask for a period of time and then coming home, so you're going out to the store, you're wearing your mask, you're coming home, that mask now has your secretions on the outside, the inside of it, that touched your face. And then if you take it off, you want to take it off from the back, because otherwise if you touch the front, the outer part of the mask, first of all, your hands are probably not that clean, and it's going to have whatever you've been exposed to on its outside. So then your hands are dirty. So you want to take the mask off like that, and then you want to put it in the laundry if it's a cloth mask. If it's a paper mask, you want to throw it out, not on the street. And we know, you know, for any of us,
yes, we are seeing that.
And this, you know, you see pictures in New York City, the streets are covered with paper masks and rubber gloves.
So do not reuse your paper masks.
Do not, you know, we're tough. It's tough because we're in a shortage, but if you have enough, you want to throw your paper mask by definition is dirty once you've worn it. Do not wear N95s. Those are for the people who are working with patients or people who are, you know, working outside. You know, we see a lot of outdoor workers wearing N95s, mainly because of the dust protection. So that's why they wear their N95s, to protect their lungs. Otherwise, you should just be wearing cloth masks or reusable, you should wear paper masks, throw them out, or reusable cloth masks. Yeah.
It's an incredible amount of pollution that has come out, and again, it's offset. You know, we're doing so well on so many fronts, but this PPE pollution is really, it's really something. I'm definitely trying to use my own cloth masks and wash them and reuse them so that I don't have the waste. But once again, we have friends right now who are saying that they're sewing face masks right now with vintage fabric as we speak. So thank you, Jess, for that. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about? One more thing I want to know about before is the vitamin D. Is that a hype or not? Go out and get vitamin D, and that helps you with not getting corona or whatever. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So vitamin D is a big source of sort of discussion regardless of coronavirus. Everyone is vitamin D deficient. Certainly most women are vitamin C deficient, sort of. I think if you're truly vitamin D deficient, based on what your doctor is recommending, and you are told to take a vitamin D supplement, it is a good idea to do. Taking an extra vitamin D supplement, whether now or anytime, is for the most part pretty safe. If you're not really mega supplementing on it and mega dosing on high dose vitamin D, it's not going to prevent the virus. It's not going to cure the virus. It is, you know, if people are saying, well, people who take vitamin D have done better, that's a correlation, not a causation at this point. So someone who takes vitamin D might also be very health conscious. They may be young, they may be healthy, they may be active, they may be slender, they may be, this female, which is a little bit more, now we're finding that females do a little bit better overall than males in suffering from this disease. So it's a correlation, not a causation. If you take it in moderation and you feel better about doing it, then by all means go ahead. But there is no magic pill for this, especially vitamin D.
Okay, good. Well, we've been sitting out in the sun as much as we can, using it as our excuse. So I guess you can't go wrong with that for a little bit each day. One more question came in. It says, if you wear the mask every 3 days or so, then wouldn't any pathogen or virus that could have gotten on the mask die after a certain point? And that actually is a really good question, because I'd also like to know, like, how long does this thing live on surfaces? We're just constantly disinfecting, and those wipes are awful, so we try not to use those wipes. So tell us, Nina.
So what healthcare workers are told is that if we have an N95, and let's say a lot of healthcare workers are given one for the whole process.
Wow.
What we are told is that if you take your N95 mask off, put it in a paper bag, and leave it there for 3 days, that will be enough that when you put it back on, it will be clear of virus and clear of any sort of even bacteria that were on your body. So yes, there is that 3 days. The question is, where are you going to leave it? If you have all these masks, you're going to leave them in your house, leave them around. Who's not going to touch it? So it really depends on your living situation as far as leaving a used, dirty mask around and letting it sit for 3 days. Yes, this virus does live on surfaces, and we've all seen that it lives on certain surfaces longer than others. The issue is that the virus, as with most viruses, need a host to replicate, and it's the replication that takes over your body. So if there's no host, your laptop is not a host for it to replicate. The likelihood of you're actually getting it from a surface is exceedingly low.
Oh, I see.
So packages your mail. You want to be careful. You want to wash your hands after you touch anything that's been from outside of your home. You want to clean your surfaces frequently. But there haven't, and again, it's really hard to know, but I haven't heard of any cases of people getting it from a box.
Right. Okay,
I mean,
good.
They could be getting it from somebody who's delivered the box. If they open the door and they don't have a mask on and they cough and they get it on you, theoretically you can get it from a surface, but actually getting sick from a surface hasn't been documented. Just like you're not going to get it from the air. It's not going to float over to you. We're not living in the 1600s where the Black Plague was sort of in the air. That's an old idea. It's called miasma, that there's sort of dirty stuff in the air and it just sort of gets into your body. It's person to person, just like any other respiratory virus.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, Nina, I could talk to you for another hour about this. Someone posted that if you sneeze, it travels 25 feet and another person can breathe it in.
It can, and that's all. It's true, because we've documented how far sneezes go, how far coughs go, how far certain letters that you pronounce go. So say the and the sh, it goes further, right, than other sorts of sounds, because your saliva is going to be traveling, and
who would have thought?
All this is true, but the likelihood drops so significantly based on distance and time. That's another thing. So it's not just how far apart you are, and 6 feet is not the magic number. It's not like if you're 5 feet 11 inches from somebody as opposed to 6 feet 1 inches, one is an all or none. It's a gradual decline on the distance, and it's also based on time. So one thing, for instance, we were saying in our hospital was not only how far apart you were, how long were you at that distance? If you were less than 6 feet for more than 10 minutes at a time with someone who has the illness, that increases your likelihood much more than just passing them on the street or passing them at the grocery store. And we've seen the images of the plume floating over the grocery store aisle into another aisle and landing on another person. Yes, that can happen, but that's not really the most common mechanism of how this is transmitted. It is person to person, face to face contact, just as any other virus.
Wow. Well, Nina, I think you said we could get the Hype book on Amazon, right? Amazon.com. And we will
Okay,
put that.
here's the book.
There's the book. It's a great one, and we're so grateful to you. We have
Yeah.
another wonderful scientist shouting out to you, saying we need more scientists speaking up. Thank you so much, Dr. Shapiro.
Yeah.
You are a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you for going over. And again, it's just a pleasure to have you in my world and to constantly hit you up with different questions. And you're always so gracious to answer them for me. So thank you for being a part of our Earth Week. And if anybody has any other questions, feel free. I'm here. I don't know, anything else? Last words. Nina, do you have anything else you want to say?
Oh, I just want to commend you, Sheila. You are amazing. You are a
No,
powerhouse, a warrior.
thank you.
People understand how much you have done for our world in the last, years that you've been working with all of, first Crayon Collection and now this, and now, Habits of Waste. And, you've made so much impact on so many people's lives, and it's incredible.
I appreciate you, Nina. Thank you for saying that. And stay safe, be well, and we'll be
Yeah,
following you consistently on all social media fronts to learn more all the time.
likewise. Great to
Have a
see
great
you.
rest of your
See you in
day.
person soon.
Bye.
Bye.